this engineer, I'm excited about this engineer rally point because this is not something that we've talked about nearly enough. And there's been a huge push now by several commandants and their regimental sergeant majors to get a credentialing program in place. There's probably no other regiment within our Army that has as a profession, puts as much stock in credentialing as we do. It is taking care of soldiers. I debunk the idea that we're creating a force that is now we're inviting them to get better jobs on the outside. No, that's not what this is about. This is about uh, taking care of soldiers in a true soldier for life. But I think we want credentialed soldiers in our formations. And so that to me is um, it helps us with promotions. It helps take care of the soldiers. It helps us as leaders demonstrate that there are value associated with the skills that they're going after. And so Sergeant First Class Jackson has really been on point for the Commandant, for HRC, and in all of the credentialing within our regiment. And there are multiple programs. And so here is I think the key, and I'm glad to see that we've got some, commanders on here. We've got some command sergeant majors. We have got to get this word out to the regiment, all components. And I know that Sergeant First Class Jackson will talk about. There are some nuances in the various components that we've got to be sensitive to. So I'm super excited, and this was so important that although we didn't get to it last time, I wanted to do an off cycle rally point because I think this is a topic that people need to hear about. So with that, Sergeant First Class Jackson, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I really do appreciate this opportunity. I was really excited to do this last time, so I've actually had a little bit more time to prepare and make sure everything is on point. So first, I want to thank everybody for logging in and taking your time out. I know that today's been a really busy day, at least it has been for me. And this is a great way for me to end my day to share all these opportunities for our regiment. It's an absolute honor to be in this regiment. I don't think anybody loves this regiment more than me. And if you do, you're probably my soulmate. So with that being said, I'm going to go over a few of our programs that I deal with specifically. The first one that I'm going to go over is the IDC program, or the Institutionally Delivered Credentialing Program. You want to go to the next slide. And the next slide. Okay. All right. I know a lot of these slides are going to be they're pretty wordy. And I've done that specifically for you out in the force. So if you want these slides, the slide deck is available to you. It's on the Teams. And then I believe Jim makes these available to everybody as well if you want them in an email or however you want this information. I do not read from the slide. I'm not very big on that, but I would like to hit out some high points on each one of these slides. So for here, I want to talk about that this is our proponent-funded program, and it's an opportunity for our soldiers to gain a high-quality credential. And it's not just one of those credentials that they can go on their SDP and forget about. This is something that is progressive, and it also helps them get promoted and all of that. We want these military technical expertise and experts in our formation. So this is one of the things, just like General Watson was saying, like this is one of those things that we're taking care of our formation as well as taking care of that soldier. I know in my time in the military, I've seen so many soldiers go through the transition process, and their issue is that when they get out, they've been a Bravo or they've been a November, and their jobs don't speak civilian language. Okay, so a lot of these programs that we deal with help articulate that information and give them that one up and make them more marketable for transitioning out and into the civilian workforce. Keep in mind that the IDC program, it is a separate pot of money. So it's separate from the tuition assistance and the credentialing assistance that run through the Education Center. Our program partners with the Education Center, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in this discussion. Next slide. Okay, so this IDC program is a refund. It's a reimbursement program. So basically, education is an individually motivated goal, which means we want our soldiers to go out there and be able to pay for all of these. They'll pay for these specific 14 credentials. These are the ones that our regiment has available for our specific proponent. Now, my favorite thing about this is that we are not just getting those individuals who go out there and get the certification and then they do nothing with it. These individuals are going out there because they want this and they're putting in the effort, so they're paying for it out of pocket. And then they're able to submit a reimbursement packet to myself and whoever's going to sit in this seat after me to make sure that they can get that money back. Our proponent will fund up to $800 per FY per soldier for any of these credentials, except for the ones that are in red. So the ones that are in red, those are the ones that are allowed to exceed $800, which means that they are able to, like the PMP, the FE, ARE, the CFM, they can get pretty expensive on their own. I just did PMP and it was pretty expensive, about $2,000. So paying for that out of pocket, especially just for the courses and stuff without getting any study material, it can get pretty pricey, which means that our main users of this program are going to be our officers, our junior officers, or our senior enlisted. It's pretty expensive. So most of the time, our junior enlisted are not going to use this program because it's so expensive. But that's why we have the the credentialing assistance if they want to use that up front. Does anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to add about our approved credentials?
So, Sergeant First Class Jackson, if it's a PMP, fundamentals of engineering, PE, that 800, I know that those are more expensive than the 800, but there's no reimbursement of up to 800 to defray the cost of those. What if those are just excluded from the program altogether? Is that right? They're not excluded from the program. They just can exceed that $800 limit. Everything else is $800. And I go through and I look at each one of these vendors and make sure that I keep those prices up to date. And usually project management and the other red ones are definitely, they cost way more. So our regiment allows soldiers who go out and get that. If they pay more than just the $800, they're allowed to get that exactly what they paid back for it. I've had packets come through for about $2,000 and $3,000. So let's say it costs $2,000 to get PMP. They can file for a reimbursement up to $800. That just means the $1,200 out of their pocket.
Negative. So how this works is that they pay for the entire program out of pocket, the entire program. And once they complete the program and they submit a reimbursement packet with their completed certificate and any of the invoices, it can be up to $3,400 really. It can go pretty high on some of these certifications. And whatever they pay, they're going to get that money back.
Okay. All right.
Dollar for dollar.
Excellent.
Any other questions?
No, thanks.
Perfect. While we're going through this program or while we're going through this brief, if anybody has any questions or just have some thoughts that you might want to add to our programs, please come up on the net because it's always great to have feedback from the force so that way we can generate these conversations up here at the top so we can actually start building a better and more strong program.
Yeah, hey, Sergeant Jackson, there was one question. I think it's does the
certification have to be in the same way as a reimbursement? We're going to talk about that reimbursement process here shortly, and okay. I'll touch on that question.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir. Next slide. So what does it cover? We've already talked about all of the credentials that it covers. This is PPI to pass. What we've done is we've partnered with Kaplan Company to get 100 codes. They call them seats, but it's 100 codes. But basically, for your PE, FE, and your ARE programs that soldiers get into, we are giving them a free year of access to study materials. And these are some of the things that we talk about that they get through this program. They do have to submit a credentialing form to myself, signed by the battalion commander, saying that they're in this program and that they're allowed to use this program. But this is a great program. I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from the soldiers who are actually using this. So this program covers the study material, the web books, any extra quizzes and stuff like that help them attain the PE, FE, and the ARE certificates. This is a great program. So if anybody would like to use it, all the information that I give you today, there's a link for it at the end of this. And then I also have everything on Teams. So I'm trying to be as open as possible for everyone to be able to use this without even having to use me if they really don't need to. Next slide. Our eligibility. Okay, so you have to be an engineer to use this IDC program. We do and have had some exceptions to this. One specifically, since I've been sitting in the seat, was we had an infantry soldier who wanted to use the PPI to pass program. And he won't be able to get the reimbursement off of the IDC program, but I was able to get him a seat with that PPI to pass to use those programs because he's working at he's working as an instructor somewhere really important, but with engineers. And so we were able to get him that certification. But mainly you have to be an engineer, officer, enlisted, or a warrant officer. You have to have the memorandum, read the memorandum that we have that's posted as well on the team site. And then once you complete once you go through these programs and you've completed the certification, you have to have a completed certification within the FY or the year prior, which we'll talk about in a minute. But and then you can request the reimbursement, and then we'll be able to give that money back. What we do not cover, though, are your failed attempts. So if you go on there and you take the test and you fail it, we don't pay for that failed attempt. We only pay for the attempt that you passed. So your packet will get kicked back if you got multiple attempts on there. It's just one attempt, and that's it. We also don't cover PMI memberships. So we do cover your exam fees, the books, any study material, your renewal fees as well. So annually or every 3 years, however often you have to change or update your renewal for that certification, we will pay for that. But we do not pay for the PMI memberships for like project management or PMP. Do we have any questions on that so far? Sweet. Okay, so we'll move to the next slide. And now we're going to talk about the reimbursement packet, so I'll be able to answer that question for you, sir. The reimbursement packet is also on Teams. It's a red folder. It's the only red folder that I have in there, so you can't miss it. In each one of these folders that I have, there's also a step-by-step with pictures, step-by-step process on how to submit this reimbursement packet. It's really, really easy. All you need is there's a staffing paper, and there are examples in there for you to follow in step-by-step. You have your 1164, the memo, invoices, and the certificate of completion of the course to submit. And you create that portfolio, send it to me encrypted, and I get it signed, and it goes to G8. It does take time to get money back. To go to your question, sir, about the same FY. So back in the day, like a couple years ago, we were able to go back 5 years of certification. Now it is only this FY and the year prior. So if you get your certificate in September, then that is FY 25's money. But if you don't submit it until October, November, we're going to have to use prior year money. But so we can only do current year and previous year money. Does that answer your question, sir? Sweet. Okay. I'll take silence as
yes, sorry, Jackson, that answers it. And so a person may take more than a year to get the credentialing, that's okay.
That's okay. So the reimbursement packet does not go on the date that you start the program. The reimbursement packet goes off the date that you finish your completion or you get the certification. So then you have a year or so to get your reimbursement in.
Okay, that makes sense. Yep. I understand
Okay.
now. Thank you.
Perfect. Is it prior FY, October, or calendar? It's October. It's FY. It's your fiscal year reimbursement. Okay, next slide. Credentialing assistance. Now we'll move on and get off of the IDC program. Keep in mind that it is a separate pot of money that we have for our proponent. We'll move on to the credentialing assistance, which is it is coupled with your tuition assistance. So if we have soldiers that are using tuition assistance, they get $4,500 a year. It used to be $4,000, and they give us back $500. So, but your credentialing assistance caps off at $2,000, which means you'll have $2,500 left of tuition assistance left over if we're going to do math. If you decide not to use your credentialing assistance for whatever reason within this FY, then that credentialing assistance can also be used as tuition assistance as well. So it's a great program. One of my favorite things I like about credentialing assistance is that it's not MOS specific, where the IDC program is specifically those 14 credentials and they're engineer specific. We have credentialing assistance that's on the educational side. You don't have to. Like for me, I have a degree in human resources and I use credentialing assistance to get my PHR or SPHR, which is going to help me on the outside when I get a job. So it's not MOS specific. When you do navigate the site and you put your MOS in and you're looking for certain certifications, it will break it down by your MOS, but those you're not locked in to those specific credentials. You just look up the credential that you want to get and the credentialing assistance will pay for it as long as you create an educational goal on Army Ignited. For credentialing assistance, a soldier within a 3-year period within a 10-year period can attain up to 3 credentials. So in a 20-year period, they can walk away with 6 credentials. This is why it's so important that we push into our AIT and we push into our basic training and we let these soldiers know at the very beginning about this program so that way they can start working on these early. Once they work on these early, then by the time they have a 20-year program, they could be pretty well off as far as trying to get a job or, some of these certifications are really great for our promotions as well. I know whenever they're looking at the SAR First Class boards, they're looking at people who have project management, Lean Six Sigma. These types of these certifications are absolutely helpful when it comes to our progression. Does anyone have any questions about credentialing assistance so far?
Yeah, Sergeant Jackson, so this is available to all compos, right?
Yes, it is available to all compos. I do know that there was a warrant put out in December last year about officers potentially losing that credentialing assistance when the FY turns over, but there hasn't been any guarantee, like there hasn't been anything that has come up to say that, hey, they're going to lose this money. So whenever I give these briefs and I'm talking to EBOLIC, WOBIC, and AIT and all these soldiers, I'm like, hey, if you can use credentialing assistance first, because it's free money, they pay for everything up front, use that first.
Yeah.
Because it's free money up front, where you don't have, where with the IDC program, you do have to come out of pocket for it.
Sergeant Jackson,
yes.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So with that, my name is Josh Atkinson. We're actually, we're a partner with the Engineer Association, and we do PM. Yep, we are PM Prowler. So for officers concerned about losing credentialing right now, what we do is it's a 1-year license. So you can actually activate your class license now this FY and have all of FY26 to keep attending. So if you have folks right now that want the chance to do PMP between September of 25 and September of 26, get us their name and email, and we will give you access to attend and reattend every live class for 1 year. That'll also come with the exam and retest. Now, with the new credentialing rules that everybody is supposed to test, we're only charging $5 for the exam, right? So, we're making it very, very risk-free for soldiers who want the chance to go after their PMP or Lean Six Sigma or Agile or CAPM or change management. Those are the 4 that we teach. But we didn't want the risk to be on the individual now because that test is hard, right? We wanted to own that risk. So Army CA pays everything up front. If they don't pass the exam, it only costs them $5. Okay, like that's the only risk of payback to the soldier. Now, to those that want to do group training, right? I have live class right now in Hawaii. I have a class out of South Korea. Okay. Yeah, I'm with PM ProLearn. So we've built this to support the engineer community and support the Army writ large. We do have an MOU at Leonard Wood. We have a few classes coming out to Leonard Wood area later this year as well. But if you're not in that area, we will build training where you are for your team to go through it together if they want to use credentialing as education. It can be evenings, it can be weekends, it can be after hours, virtual, in person, whatever. You will have a chance to go through it as a team instead of just a one-off individual. So if you have credentialing questions specific to us, I can try to answer that as well as Sergeant Jackson. But the officers have been rumored to lose credentialing since March. Then it was May. Then it was June. We don't know, right? I don't know if they're going to lose it, if they're not going to lose it. But I would advise, if you want the chance, sign up this FY, get it activated. You'll be grandfathered in. But sorry, I'm not trying to steal your show, Sergeant Jackson.
Oh no, that's great. I'm all about free chicken. If you got it, I'll take it. I'm actually going to email you.
Our training is as free as it can be. Active Guard and Reserve. We're working with reserve units going on orders right now to Africa that are going to do our training while they're deployed. I'm working with the Virginia National Guard to do their Yellow Ribbon event to set their soldiers up for training when they go on active orders. So that way they have a chance to get trained before they come off deployment. So we're trying to allow, our training to be used as leader development, right? Like Lean during ALC, Agile during SLC, PMP during MLC, right? Like these are complementary skills to those leadership schools, and they have direct civilian opportunity and potential. So I'll drop my email here in chat. I'm sorry, my computer crashed when I logged on my computer, so I'm on my phone, so I can't chat and talk at the same time. But I'll give you all my email in chat. If you have questions, if you want to set up training, it's 8 for virtual, 14 for in-person. We cover travel cost. There's no unit cost, no out-of-pocket cost, and that way you can set this up for you and your team if you want to do it. So no SF-182s, no GPCs, using credentialing as group training funding. So any questions?
You've been a great partner with us. I thank you for chiming in. You're making it as easy as is possible.
Yes, sir. I'm excited.
I'm actually going to reach out to you on Monday when I come back off leave, so we can go ahead and get some stuff set up, and I want to be able to brief that whenever I start talking to these to the officers again. So we'll get back to the slide. Does anyone have any questions or anything they'd like to add before we keep it? Awesome. Next slide. So when you're applying for credentialing assistance, it's very, very easy. It's just if you're not familiar with Army Ignited or anything like that, you can always give me a call, or you can go to an ed center and they can actually walk you through the process. But when you're applying for credentialing assistance, even on Teams, I have a folder with a PowerPoint that shows you with pictures and lines and numbers on how to fill out and create your educational goal for credentialing assistance. The soldier is responsible for meeting the criteria of these specific credentials. I'm not a subject matter expert on every single one of these credentials. I am a middle person. I can show you how to get to it, but I can't tell you, hey, do this for your PE. This is the class that you need. This is something that you have to do, or your soldiers will have to do on their own if it's a credential that they want to get. So just like tuition assistance, you request it through Army Ignited. And once you take the credential and you've completed that certification, you upload the certificate, and then you're good to go. There is a timeline on applying for your credentialing assistance. So once you apply, you get like a certain amount of time depending on which credential that you're doing. So I would keep up with that, because I'll say for project management, it's a year out. Once you put that invoice in, hey, you got a year, and that clock starts ticking. So if you don't take that test and upload your stuff, then they start that recoupment process. So it's really cool that PM ProLearn does that $5 invoice, because now the soldier's not stressing out about paying $2,000 back to credentialing assistance. So that was a really great way to get around the system. Appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, wait. Yeah, okay. So for credentialing assistance, the soldier obviously cannot be flagged. If you are flagged, Army tuition, it's basically linked to our IPSA. So if you're flagged, then we'll block your account and you're not able to enroll in any classes or do anything like that. You also have to have sufficient time as a soldier before you ETS, at least a year. It says 30 days to finish the certification, but some of these are a year long. So if you don't have that specific time left in the service, you're not going to get approved for it either. And then if it's not a credential that's by your MOS, you're still able to get it, because I've used it for PHR. It just you have to meet those requirements and present that to the education center. I will answer your question, sir. If you're trying to, you took the PE in 2024-25 or you didn't take it, and then courses allowing me to access the material. It doesn't go off of when you started your program, sir. It goes off of the day that you passed your test. So once you pass your test, you're able to submit a reimbursement packet off that date. So once you pass your PE exam, I go off the date that you pass your PE exam.
Okay.
Just to give that boom, got you. Next slide. Next slide. There you go. All right, so we just talked about applying for credentialing assistance, so we'll go to the next slide. Oh, that's awesome, Josh. He also posted on there about 9/11 GI funds. They also cover your prep funds as well. That's really awesome. So we'll talk about the last program that I've been cradling for a few months now, and this is the US MAPS program. And I know this slide is super duper busy, but it gives you a whole lot of information all the way down to the nitty gritty. This is US MAPS. This is our apprenticeship program that we've partnered with the Navy to do. It is a great program, but it is not one of those last minute programs that we can use as soldiers. It's for our enlisted active duty soldiers. Also, it can be for the reserves and National Guard when they are on Title 10 orders, but they have to have a minimum of 12 months left in service. Now, what this program does is it provides by MOS certain apprenticeships that soldiers are allowed to either punch a time clock on or take a test, and they get a certificate, a Department of Labor certificate with a journeyman's card that says that soldier has that experience within that MOS or that certain apprenticeship. Now, this is really awesome. This is a great program if it's being used. If it's not being used, then it does us no good. Since I've started and I've taken over this program, I'm trying to treat it like a SHARP EO program, that I can get a representative in every company, or at least down into the brigades and battalions, to help these soldiers enroll into these programs when they get to a duty station. What's great about it is that I had soldiers that have actually completed these certifications. I actually had a soldier not too long ago. He ETS'd out. He was an instructor for the 12 November course. He got his certification in the construction operator apprenticeship, and he actually got a job. So what I did was I called down into Tennessee where he works at that job, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, what are these credentials? What are these apprenticeships? What does it mean to you as an employer? Because if we're going to use these programs, I want to be able to make sure that if we're using it, it's not in vain. We want our soldiers to get out there and actually have something to take with them. And this articulates all of the work that we do outside of our NCOERs and our OERs. This helps us articulate what we do every day into civilian verbiage. And that employer, he assured me, he was like, hey, that actually gave him the leg up, and that's the reason why he got the job, because he had that journeyman's card, and he also had that certificate from the Department of Labor verifying his apprenticeship. So definitely a great program for our troops. The one good thing about the National Guard and the Reserve for them when they want to use this program, when they decide to use it, is that sometimes they have different MOSs. So not only if they, let's just say I'm a 12 November in a reserve unit, but I'm slotted and pulling the duty of a 42 Alpha for whatever reason. When I deploy and I got 12 months of service, if I enroll into one of these apprenticeships, I can do it as a 42 Alpha using some of the 42 Alpha apprenticeships that are available, as long as I have a memorandum from my commander saying, hey, she's in this duty position, this is her MOS, so she's able to use this. So that's really awesome. Now, I wish that it was open to officers, but it isn't. But officers are able to be coordinators. They can be a coordinator and brief their units like, hey, you can enroll into these specific apprenticeships and get this Department of Labor apprenticeship certification and help yourself out on the outside. I haven't gotten any data on whether it does anything for our promotions so far. It's something that I'm going to be looking into because it's a fairly new program. But I will give First Engineer a shout out because they are my test. This is my test with them. I've been running a pilot program with First Engineer Brigade where I have a coordinator in every company all the way down in each battalion. And we're meeting up. And since we've started this program, I've seen a huge jump in numbers of the people that we have enrolled into this program. So definitely, I won't see the fruits of my labor until maybe next year as these soldiers start rolling in and taking these and doing the program. But I'm working off of our first class Childers, who also did a great job of getting this program up and running. So it's just going to keep getting better and better for us as we go on. We just got to make sure we get this out into the force.
Hey, Sergeant Jackson, and this one is there's no cost associated with this, right?
Negative. It is free. It is free to the soldier. It's just time. Okay, so there's two different ways that they can attain this apprenticeship. They can either do it time bound. Both of them are 12 months anyways. When you enroll, you have to do it within 12 months. When you enroll into the time bound, you have to log hours every month at minimum, just like a punch in the time clock. So you got a 40-hour work week. That's how many hours you worked as a construction operator. Every single week, you upload those hours. The most important part of these uploads is that you have a supervisor and then you have your final approver, which is your commander. They have a very important role, being that when these hours come in, they have to verify, yes, this soldier did that. And then the commander is the ultimate approver saying, hey, I approve that this soldier has done X, Y, and Z. These timesheets are printed out and they look a lot like our PMCS sheets, like walked around the truck, check the air and tire, check. And then at the bottom, it gives you an hour estimate that you put on there. And then once the soldier uploads those, the supervisor approves it, and then the commander will approve it as well. And how that works is the soldier has to put in their email. Once that supervisor gets the email, they're on a time crunch. They got 12 days. They have to go in there and approve it and then push it up to the final reviewer, which is the commander, the final approver. Once the commander approves it, then they move on to the next hour. So each apprenticeship is a certain amount of hours have to be logged. That's on the time bound. And then at the end of the 12 months, once they've completed that and the commander approves that final hour count, that soldier will get in their email the certification, the apprenticeship, along with that journeyman's card, which is awesome. They can print it out and put it on their wall, put it on their resume, because it also has a Department of Labor number identifier on there as well. So for employers to go out there and look into the Department of Labor system, they can pull that certification or apprenticeship up as well. Now, the other way that they can get this apprenticeship certification is through a competency base. And this is mainly for our more seasoned soldiers, like our E5s and above, when they get into operator position. I'm just going to use 12 November because I'm a November. But as an operator, they can go and print out the competency-based checklist. Once they go through that checklist, their supervisor signs off on that checklist, and the commander approves it. They still have to wait that 12 months. They still have to wait the 12 months, but once the commander approves it on that 12th month, at the end of that 12th month, they will get their certification. So really awesome. Is there any other questions as far as that part of US Maps?
Yeah, so Sergeant Jackson, in this case, the competency-based, there's no examinations that they have to take, but the NCO, the commander, they have to certify. So this is down at the unit. They have to certify through their signature that that soldier does possess and has executed these tasks to standard.
Absolutely. It does put a lot of weight on us as leaders because we are putting our name on these people, on these soldiers. And once they get out, if something was to happen and they have this certification or they have this this apprenticeship, it makes us look bad. I don't imagine they're going to reach back and be like, hey, sir or ma'am, you sent me a turd, right? But it makes us look bad. And that employer, maybe later on, if they have someone that shows up with that, they're going to be like, okay, yeah, no, because it was crap last time.
Yeah,
so what we're hoping is that our approvers and our supervisors are doing their job, making sure that they're actually doing these checklists.
Yeah, so I mean, this is pride in our own profession. We have to, as leaders, make sure that we police this program so that we don't, for our own actions, compromise it. And I think that's an important point.
Very much so, sir. Very much. One of my duties is, when I brief this program, and I have a lot of officers or National Guard and Reserve that really would like to use this program because they honestly would benefit from it more than active duty because they actually have an outside job. But once they deploy and they're able to have that 12 months of uninterrupted time of active duty time, they can complete this. I wish I'd have known about this program as an OC, because when I would go out to the MOB sites and brief my units and brief my commanders, this would have been definitely one of the things that I briefed to them. But
so, Sergeant Jackson, does it have to be a contiguous 12 months? One of those, let's say they go on, they're an AG officer, AGR, and they're on active duty status for 6 months, and then a year later they go for another 4. So it has to be a contiguous 1 year, right?
Absolutely. It has to be no break in the 12 months. Okay. And those orders have to be uploaded into the system when they enroll.
All right.
Or they won't be allowed to do it.
Okay.
I will highlight that we are working on special duty apprenticeships. Like right now we have the instructor and then we have the recruiter. So when the recruiter goes out to be a recruiter or whatever, they can enroll in this program, do the time-based or the competency-based and get that certification as well. And then same thing for instructors. And this is really big in 1st Engineer Brigade. We're looking into things like EO, SHARP. Like these are things that are big on the outside that we also do on the inside, because obviously we're not always going to be operators. We're not always going to be bravos blowing things up. We're going to be doing special duties like operations and especially like SHARP and all these extra duties. So once we do these duties, and some of them are a year long, you have to be in the seat for at least a year to perform these duties. And so that's one of the things that we're working. I'm working closely with Sean Morrissey. He's the program manager for US Maps for us. And that's one of the things that I would like to see happen sooner than later. So that's going to be coming on the forefront. But right now we have we just have the instructor and the recruiter. So that's good. We can go to the next slide. So what I did was I went into our CMF and I broke down each one of our MOSs, and these are specifically the apprenticeships that are available to our MOSs, to each one of these MOSs. There's not very many, and I wasn't super happy when I first started looking into this because I feel like we do way more than this. So we're also doing a crosswalk with the Department of Labor and Sean Morrissey to try to get more of these But for the most part, when we got soldiers enrolling in these, they are completing them, and that's why I have these. That's why it's so important that we have the coordinators down to the company level, because they're my reach in. Hey, soldier, I'm looking at their stats and I'm able to pull up everybody and see everybody in 1st Engineer Brigade that's on and doing an apprenticeship and when they logged in. So I'm okay. This person hasn't logged in. I'm calling sergeant or sir, whoever, so and so. Hey, check into this soldier, see if they're having an issue with their apprenticeship. They haven't been logging. They haven't done anything in a while. Check and see if they're doing this, if they're okay, if they need any help. Because sometimes it's just a technical difficulty and it's something that's an easy fix, but sometimes soldiers they put it on the back burner because it's not something that's super important to them because they're not getting out yet or whatever. So being proactive in these coordinator positions and being proactive as a program manager is highly important for this program.
Good.
Does anyone have any questions on what's available for our engineers? And if you have anything on your end that you would like to add or see be added for our MOSs, that will be really helpful. Minimum of time in service required. Yes, you have to have at least a year left. As long as you have a year out from your ETS and your program ends prior to your ETS, you are good to go.
Great question.
Is this connected to career skills program?
Say again?
Is this tied to like the career skills program, or is it independent of the career skills program?
It is independent. So I actually visited the Career Skills Center this last a couple weeks ago, and I was asking about this because they brief this when soldiers are retiring or when they're ETSing, but by the time that they hear it in their retirement/ETS brief, it's too late to use this because you need at least a year left in service to use this program. So pushing this out earlier on in the years will be definitely better. But no, US MAPS is separate from career skills. They do brief it, but it is not a career skills program.
Yeah, you just underscored the importance of why, commanders, company commanders, first sergeants, sergeant majors have to know about this program in order to make it, because you get a sense based, if you know your soldiers, when they're thinking about getting out, and the clock does start. And so that it's a fantastic program, but this is one that I think leaders have really got to be pretty proactive in.
I've actually created NCOER bullets and stuff like this for my coordinators, so that way once they've, gotten certain. So my coordinators, I give them homework. They have 2 people a month. I just say, just go and get 2 people enrolled a month, and then we're good to go, which has actually helped quite a bit because we've jumped in numbers a lot since February.
Yeah.
If no one has any other questions, we can go to the next slide. And I will close out with, I've added all these references and all these links for everyone to access everything that I've talked about today. With my email information, you can reach out to me anytime. Like General Watson says, getting this information out is vital and important, but one of your biggest assets right now is me. So what you could do is always reach out to me. If you don't feel comfortable with briefing your command team or briefing your team, just reach out to me. I literally have nothing to do but brief you. So just reach out to me and I will put you on my calendar. I can do anything over Teams. I can come to you if you're on Fort Leonard Wood, and I can set up a workshop and whatever. I can even walk you through the whole process of enrolling into US MAPS down to the nitty gritty by the individual user. So please use me while you can use me, and I will be happy to support you and your team. And thank you for allowing me this opportunity to brief.
Yeah. So Sergeant Jackson, first of all, do you give this brief to ALC, SLC, Captain's Career Course?
Absolutely. I brief ALC, SLC, EBOLIC, Captain's Career Course, the Pre-Company Command Course, the WOBIC courses, and I'm working into the AIT. I'm trying to get their battle rhythm set, though, because they have a lot of POI constrictions, so it's not part of their POI. So I'll probably start trying to brief them on like weekends and stuff when they have more time.
Okay. And I do think, we probably couldn't go through this whole thing as an article in Engineer Magazine, but I think this is something that at least whetting people's appetite, letting them know what's out there. And then my last question, and then I'll turn it over to everybody else, but what are some of the best practices that you see down in units? Because a lot of this is, a commander, at the company level, a first sergeant down at the company level, really pushing their soldiers to seize the initiative in these programs. What do you see as some of the best practices?
So for me, as far as best practices, is getting this brief out. I know 1st Engineer Brigade, they got me in the initial brief when soldiers are coming into the brigade. I'm hitting into the battalions when they do their initial brief as well. And then I always make my rounds. I run around Fort Leonard Wood like my chicken with my head cut off, talking to all these different people. And then bringing it up, Brian, they talk about it at the annual brief for the engineer roundup. And that started with Sergeant Childress, so he's awesome for getting that started. But getting that information out, best practices is that I now have more commanders reaching out to me, which is great. So I can come and brief them and set these things up. And then now with the coordinators, I'm able to reach into the soul of the unit, like, hey, where are you at with this? And they are able to brief as well. So those coordinators, when they come to that initial brief with me, I teach them how to brief with all of this stuff. And then they are able to brief their units as well. So it's just like a spider web effect. That so far, that's the best, is just putting that information out and being able to answer questions and using all these resources.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking is this would be something that if I were a company first sergeant or a platoon sergeant, I get a new soldier, we're going through your job book, and I'm asking you what your aspirations are. This is one of those questions. Do you want to get credentialed? Do you want to get into an apprenticeship program? Because I think it's really where rubber meets road. And then that's where, junior leaders are really got to be pushing this down at platoons and companies, because that's where it happens. Adding it to your sort of in processing as you're trying to figure out, you get a new soldier, what their aspirations are. I'll open it up. Any other questions? To see, there were some in the chat.
Yeah, there's quite a few questions on the way up here. I can answer Mr. Bauman first. He asked about obtaining a PE. What does it look like when you're completing the hours and the requirements, and how does this work for active duty? So I don't specifically walk the soldier through the process of getting those hours or meeting the requirements for the actual certification or the license. That is on that individual to do that research. I just help them get the money for it, and then I process reimbursement, if that answers your question. I really don't have a whole lot as far as obtaining the PE. Sitting in this seat has kind of motivated me, so I did the PM Pro Learn, and I took the class last month here on Fort Leonard Wood, and it's very, very beneficial. PM Pro Learn is really awesome about that. And I feel like leading from the front, I got to be able to at least walk through some of these processes, since that's the one I decided to do. But meeting those requirements and coming up with all of your logged hours or any of the requirements is up to the soldier on their own. They could reach out to the institution and ask them if they have any additional ways that they can attain those hours. I do know that in EBOLIC, they do get a certain amount of hours for PMP, but I don't really know if that'll help you out. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and it looks like, there was a comment in here. You've got a major population of engineer majors up at Command General Staff College. So that's another way of getting out to units, a briefing up there. Maybe you can go up with a commandant or a regimental and talk about these programs. And again, it'd be another way of getting the word out to the field.
Absolutely. I can add them to my to my list of people to reach out to. Major Sewell, you asked if there's any resources available to continue education requirements for certification. That is through the institution that you get your actual certification from. I know PMI does all of theirs, and that you can watch videos and log PDIs from PMI, but I'm not really sure about the rest of the requirements for your certifications. You have to meet those by the vendor, I would say, and then once you've done that and you've resubmitted your renewal, you can send your renewal fees to me after you've paid for them, and then you can get that money back.
You've got another invite, by the way, from the Kentucky Army National Guard chapter at AEA to you to do an LPD, and maybe you could do that either in person or virtually.
I'm on it. I'm on it. Chief, if you can send me an email, I will absolutely do that for you guys.
We've got a really good bourbon collection here in Kentucky, so if you're interested in that, you're welcome to come anytime.
Oh, yeah. I'll just take a trip over, spend a couple days on my own dollar.
There's no bourbon certification here, by the way.
There might be something in credentialing for, brewmaster. I don't know. Maybe there's something in there.
Yeah, that'd be cool. They do got like dog washer and stuff on there. That's cool.
Now, let me see if my commandant's on. Commandant, did you make it yet?
Negative, sir. He's not on. We can ask Sergeant Major for comments. Over.
Yeah, Sergeant Major.
Hey, sir, and thank you. And I'll echo one of the things that she was talking about earlier. I'm outside with the dog, so if you hear the dog bark. But, I sat on the board, the Army Promotion Board, a year and a half ago. And I will tell you, credentialing and soldiers furthering their career is huge. Right now, across the Army, when it comes down to it, soldiers and NCOs, it's close for promotion, and same on the officer side. So those little things of credentialing and those extra things you're doing to better yourself are huge across the force. So Sergeant Jackson, thanks for helping out and getting this word out. I'll probably link you in with 36th Engineer Brigade. We talked about some LPDs today when they stopped by and how we can help them out more. And probably next time I go down there, taking you to give a class to a lot of the company grade and getting face-to-face with some of them.
Ooh, that'll be fun. I'm down.
Hey, Regimental, when you sat to that board, so there's nothing in the regulation that precludes a mention of a certification that the soldier has attained during their period of an NCOER or OER. Is that correct?
No, and that's where, partly getting out the word after sitting on the board is I tell people, ensure that you put it in a letter to the president. Because the one thing, when you put a letter to the board president, everyone on that panel has to read that letter before they can open your file. So these additional things that are hard to find but set you apart from everyone else, and officers the same, because it's the same system when you look at it. Do a letter to the board president, because everyone has to read that before they can open the rest of your file.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that. And Doc Halley, anything closing comments?
Sir, thank you. And Sergeant Jackson, really appreciate it. I've been close to the credentialing effort for many, many years. And this is incredibly powerful for our regiment and for our nation. So I thank you for your leadership with this credentialing effort. And sir, back over to you.
Yeah, so Sergeant Jackson, I'll just echo that. First of all, your passion for the regiment, although it's less than mine, it is evident. And the fact that you're taking this on, most people don't know. So you've got some leaders here who want to help you get the word out. I think you ought to take them up on that offer. And I do think, this has been a long push to get credentialing programs within the Army. It gets a bad rep because it's seen as, well, we're incentivizing getting out of the Army. I think we're taking care of soldiers. And you heard a regimental talk about it does matter for promotion. That's something that we ought to be thinking about. And then we want soldiers that do make that decision to leave the Army to leave with, the best send off we can give them, with the best qualifications we can give them, so that they're successful. And I think that reflects on the regiment. So I think it's an important program. And again, Sergeant First Class Jackson, thank you for the way that you are doggedly running this to ground and getting the word out. So thank you for that. That's all tonight for our engineer rally point. I'm so tickled that the 36th Rugged Brigade has got a plaque up in what I consider to be our home at the regimental room, and so it's a good day. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. Remember, lead to serve.